Okay, game three, guys. Still casting a few games here on behalf of Love Your Girlfriend. I am, of course, Squishy, and this time we have a ZVZ, and it's going to be on Star Station, a map that I miss. It's gone from the map pool. It will forever gone, but it remains in our hearts and minds. Spawning up in the bottom left-hand position on Star Station, as we have established, playing for Team Dust, it is Quanzor. Did see him in that previous game up against his opponent, Like a Panda. Did a very, very good job of establishing Broodlords and Hydralisks and Infestors and just generally managing a good Zerg late game army. His opponent for LYGF, it is Kiddin, and he's playing Zerg as well. So ZVZ on this map, I do miss Star Station. I think it's a great map. Not necessarily for Terran, which is my race of choice, but it's still a fun map to play on nonetheless. Lots of wide open areas and lots of run-by locations. Forced cross positions has made it a much more balanced map as well. And it's huge too. I mean, it's deceptively large. There are so many expansion points that you can actually, hide a base at and just generally get up to all sorts of good shenanigans. Neither of these guys have gone for a particularly early pull, which is nice to see. It means that we're probably going to be able to see a good macro game here. And I think Kiddin looks to be planting. No, nothing coming out just yet. But they are droned up to 15. Will they be going for hatcheries or will they go for pools? Well, Kiddin has gone for a pool, and actually, so is his opponent Quanzor. So mirrored builds coming out from both of them. These are quite safe builds. In fact, these are like really safe builds. Would expect to see a hatchery planted within the next couple of supply as well. Both of them establishing very nice economies early on for themselves, getting up to a good healthy drone count in the main as well. There we go, there's the drone coming down from Kiddin, and I think there's a drone coming down from Quanzor too. Yep, race of the expansions, who's going down first? Quanzor's goes down by a few seconds in advance of his opponents, so, it's not quite first blood, but it's kind of the next best thing. Quanzor's planted an extractor, looking to get some gas nice and early. Nothing yet for Kiddin. Will he play gasless? Is that a thing? I guess it's a thing. You don't frequently see this. In fact, no, there's the extractor. And you don't I was going to say, you don't frequently see gasless play in ZVZ. It does happen, because you can, obviously, if you're very good at your SimCity, you can create Evo wall-offs with queens and spines and just generally hold out until maybe you get lair and roaches or something like that. But gas openings are still the prevalent choice, because obviously lings and banelings are kind of good. Neither of these players putting on any aggression, obviously, at this point in the game, and in fact, actually, Kiddin's only mining with one drone on his extractor, so he's really, really delaying that. Now getting a second one in there, and he probably will go up to 3 in due course. His opponent, though, Quanzor, has still just not really done too much, likewise, in the way of aggression, just making a pair of lings each of them, and he's actually just going to pass each other. I love this. This is so, how beautifully timed this is from each of them, just passing each other in the middle of the map. That's wonderful. These guys have their builds played out, and they know what they're doing. That's so great to see. Like, when your build is that refined, and each player does exactly the same thing like that. And this isn't even like, ZVZ is very varied in terms of what openings you can go for, so it just fascinates me that these guys do the same thing. Kiddin manages to send his lings up into the main as well, and likewise for Quanzor, both of them getting a ling up into the main, scouting their opponent off. Kiddin's still only with 2 drones on his extractor, so I guess that's maybe a stylistic thing, delaying his gas mining. The ling for Kiddin did get picked off by Quanzor's queen, and I feel like this ling in Kiddin's base, unfortunately, is actually also going to be suffering the same fate. Queens do meet it up in the middle, and yeah, there it goes. Taken out in a red mist of blood, unfortunately. That poor ling. Baneling Nest coming out for Quanzor, and wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Baneling Nest coming out for his opponent Kiddin as well. Obviously, his gas was somewhat differently timed. I mean, he's still mining off 2, so I think they're both aiming for slightly different things. So I'll wait and see how that plays out. Certainly, the ling speed for Quanzor is much faster than his opponent's, who hasn't actually started it yet. And he has had the gas too as well, so I expect he's saving up maybe for something like upgrades or a fast lair. He's got tons of gas himself at this point, and he's now getting a roach warren, so did go for that gas opening, but didn't end up getting any lings and banelings, and in fact, going for a lair and getting a roach warren, so wait and see what that has. What happens with that? Maybe some kind of like upgraded roach play. Meanwhile, Quanzar's gone for +1 carapace, and he does have link speed nice and finished, and he's got a couple of zerglings just maneuvering themselves around the base. One of them tries to dash into the natural, but that gets blocked off by a spine crawler and a queen wall off. So good job there from Kiddin denying scouting. The remaining zergling is just kind of like perched outside the third base, making sure none of that kind of stuff is happening. Kiddin's lair is about 2/3 of the way done. By comparison, his opponent Quanzor has just now started his. So this is a really nice mix-up of strategies once they've got past that initial point. And we can see actually Kiddin's got up to 3 drones on gas now as well. In fact, he's taken 2 gases in his natural too. So his gas income is really rocketing. His opponent likewise has gone for 3 extractors at this point, and would likely see a 4th going down soon as well. Roach finishes up for Quanzor, so both of them probably opting towards roaches. I mean, we've got Zerg missile attacks on the way as well. He's not too far behind his opponents either. Speed has started for Kiddin though, and this is actually timed. Is it relatively well timed out? Yeah, it's kind of well timed out for with the +1 attack as well. So he could be looking to hit a little bit of a roach timing here. Zerglings are kind of like maneuvering themselves around the third base as well, just making sure none of that happens. But roaches are moving out, and this is enough roaches to be able to push back these speedlings. So maybe Kiddin feels like he can actually try and establish himself at third base. And yeah, there we go. Moves the drone up there, takes it nice and early. Quanzar's third base, meanwhile, is also on the way, and it's in fact coming up to halfway done. So great play coming out from Quanzor, just controlling the map at this point and being able to put down his extractors, put down his expansions as he pleases. Interesting play without the link speed here coming out from Kiddin, and actually Zergling's trying to move up at the front as well. They are going to be able to spot the third base too, and in fact, are they going to try and put some hurt on it? No, they do get chased off by these roaches. There are enough roaches there to be able to sort of like thrust them back and kind of deny any harassment. Still, they are maybe going to get a queen for their troubles. They do get it surrounded. No, not quite. The queen is able to pull away, but I think they're still going to be able to get it in the end. Yes, just barely managed to catch that queen. All those Zerglings going down though, so I'm not quite sure if that was worth it in the end there, but still got the queen nonetheless. Kiddin's moving forward with some of these roaches. There's so many roaches though for Quanzor. They don't have speed, but they will be having it soon. Kiddin did spot this with his overlords though, so he's all kinds of aware of this, so I don't think he's going to be threatening too much at this stage. He's got plenty of roaches himself, but it's going to be a very even fight nonetheless. If we look at the amounts of roaches, it's 27 to 29, so not a lot in it indeed. Kiddin's roaches are actually at 1-0, whereas Quanzor's are at 1-0 themselves as well. I swear one of them got carapace. Did he maybe cancel it and go for missile instead? I must have missed that. I apologise for that profusely. But that must have been the case. Still, both of them getting +2 missiles as well, so kind of going up to the same composition themselves. And actually, Kiddin is now posturing around the third base location, just manoeuvring, wheeling around, not committing just yet. They're very even on supply as well. It's 136 to 135. The defender's advantage is going to be strong with Quanzor, and I love this concave coming out from him. It's not really even a concave, it's more like a firing line. He'll be able to get such a nice little surround on his opponent and just get a better firing arc as well. Kiddin may be looking to try and dive down the side, but no, just posturing. He needs to be careful in case he gets caught off guard when these roaches from Quanzor do move up, but here they go. I say that, I called it too early. Just posturing. This game is kind of like slowed down now. Both of these guys just amassing roaches in vast numbers. If we look at the drone counts, it's currently sat at 51 to 55, so not a lot in it at the moment, although I would say that the third base of Kiddin is saturated considerably better than that of Quanzor. I think Quanzor is going to probably look to try and saturate that up a little bit better in due course. Kiddin's still posturing and manoeuvring with these roaches. The supplies are incredibly even, although a nice new wave of roaches does just bump up Kiddin slightly, though I'd expect to see his opponent, yeah, there we go, answer back in time. +1 carapace has started for Kiddin. He's actually now working off of 2 evos, so he is gradually going to get the incremental kind of upgrade advantage. This is so even at the moment, though, unfortunately for Kiddin. Actually, here we go. Quanzor moving up as well. The first couple of volleys of fire coming out from these roaches, spitting that acid. Really nice positioning on the armies as well. Kiddin's unfortunately was kind of bottlenecked, and the wider arc from Quanzor there. But hang on a second, Kiddin manoeuvres his army, spreads it out, and turns fire. And nice little trade there for both of those players. Relatively even, of course. They are tied on upgrades too. Although the +1 carapace for Kiddin is going to be finishing up very, very quickly here. Quanzor moves up for the engagement though, and he gets a nice concave as well. Kiddin is kind of not in the position that he wants to be, unfortunately, at this point. The arc is much better for Quanzor, but does Kiddin just have the numbers? We'll have to wait and see. Huge amounts of roaches going down at this point. Acid going everywhere, unfortunately. And yeah, that concave, just too good, really. Kiddin kind of, I think, got the worst end of that, although actually the supplies are actually currently favouring him. That could just be a macro thing. We'll have to wait and see, but if we look at the roach counts, it's now currently 42 to 49 in favour of Kiddin, so maybe that didn't go so badly for him in the end as we thought. He is slightly behind on units lost, but not so much that it's, you know, there's like 300 minerals in it. It's not really that much at all. And he has actually now moved all the way back to his own base. As I lag slightly there, apologies for that. He is moving just back to his own third base there at this point in the game. No fourth base is getting established from either of these players. Quanzor manoeuvring around as well, maybe trying to have a look, see if there is a third base going down. He won't see anything though. Kiddin has actually planted a Hydralisk den, looking to try and vary up his his composition, potentially with a few Hydralisks. They are, of course, nice to have in the back. They can really lend themselves to the Zerg army with that good DPS, but they can't be tanky like the roaches can. They can't be up front. They just can't. They just don't have the hit points that they need. It's now Kiddin who's in the defensive position, and maybe he feels like he's somehow behind, but they are completely tied on supply, and the upgrades are actually pretty much even as +1 carapace finishes up. But here we go. Quanzor moving up for the attack as well. There is a spine caller here that's helping out until it gets pushed back, but I think the concave now favours Kiddin, and yeah, Quanzor is the one now getting forced back into his own half of the map as Kiddin chases him away. And that actually, again, was another very even trade. And neither player really able to eke out an advantage against the other. Plenty more roaches on the way for Quanzor, but it's Hydralisks that we now see in production from Kiddin. So he's the one who's really mixing up his tech at this point. He's got Hydralisk range finishing up 2, grooved spines, and +2 carapace as well. So he's really chased away with the upgrades, and that could really come and help him when he comes to do another push, which it looks like he's going to be able to do up now. Creep is not really that far extended across the entire map, which is really interesting to me. These Hydralisks are going to be a little bit slow at this point. Metabolic boost now starting, of course, for Kiddin as well. Here we go, huge engagement. Quanzor moving up saying, I'm having none of this, but actually, Kiddin's army is very nice, and actually, yeah, Quanzor's being able to having to be forced back, and maybe he bit off a little bit more than he thought he could chew at that point. Loads of roaches did go down. The roaches for Kiddin need to back up and wait for a second, because these Hydralisks are huffing and puffing their way. They're really slow. And they can't do a lot themselves. Fourth bases are on the way from each of these players, as well as an infestation pit coming up from Kiddin. So he's definitely looking to like advance his tech, which is more than can be said for his opponent Quanzor, who's just more interested in just massing roaches at this point in the game. The bank for Kiddin is fantastic as well. Not quite sure how he established this, given how even this game was, but actually he's sitting at 2800 to 700 now, 800. So really nice bank for him as well. So he's going to be able to remax very quickly. And he's kind of just getting all the upgrades. We've got pathogen glands on the way and a hive as well. So looking to vary out his composition with some infestors as well, and maybe going up to vipers in the end. Here we go, moves in for another engagement. Quanzor getting a better concave, but maybe the tech is better for Kiddin. Kiddin's Hydra is doing great DPS from the back, but the roach wall at the front is beginning to crumble. Roach is moving in from the back as well. They're going to be able to do a little bit of a flank there maneuver, but actually in the end it's Kiddin who's getting the better of this, and his remax, as we said, is just so good. Able to completely remax, whereas Quanzor's only at 142 supply and dropping. Most of these roaches going down as well. I feel like this is really heavily favouring Kiddin, and this might actually be GG, guys. Coming up here, most of these roaches getting picked off. The Hydra is doing such great DPS as well. They aren't even getting tanked for by the roaches, but still, plenty of these Hydralisks are enough to thwart off these roaches in small amounts of numbers here. And I think this might just be it. Yeah, we look at the supplies, 188 to 101, and I think we're going to see a victory here for Kiddin. Here we go, coming up here, finally, just getting out of these final few roaches here.